All right, back here at the usual Lucky Chances. It's a Saturday night. Gonna hop in the 3-5 game. I think I mentioned it in the last video, but poker has moved back indoors, so much warmer and getting a bit of a late start tonight. It's 11 o'clock, but my friend Rich is in town from New York. He's the buddy that took me to Atlantic City in one of the vlogs I did at the Borgata. This is Rich. YouTube, this is Rich. And yeah, don't plan to play too long tonight. We're gonna head down to San Jose tomorrow to put in some more poker. Gonna start with Bay 101 and try to make it over to Matrix if we can, and hopefully make a vlog out of it. And before I hop in there, just wanna mention that I've got my Lock It Up hoodie on, and you've seen the t-shirt in one of the past videos. It's taken me a little while with COVID and everything to try to get the merch all printed and get the website ready. So if you're looking forward to picking up a shirt or a hoodie, just be on the lookout for that. It should be up pretty soon. All right, playing seven-handed in this first notable spot. There's a limp from the low jack. I raised a 25 from the hijack with pocket sixes. Both blinds call and the limper folds. Three ways to a flop of 9-4 deuce rainbow. Decent flop for the sixes, and when he checks to me, I c-bet 45. Small blind folds, the big blind calls. We go heads up to a turn of a 3 of clubs, so I pick up a gutter. Big blind checks, and I could bet here to try to get some value against hands such as 4-5, ace-3, ace-4, and try to deny against hands with overcards such as Jack-10. But he can have a 9 though. I check it back. River peels off the 6 of diamonds, so I make a set, which is nice in case I was up against a 9. Big blind decides to lead this river, 125. So in this spot, I think it's effectively a polarized situation. I think he's rarely going to be doing this with a 9 or 2 pairs for value. So it's either a 5 or nothing. And if you remember the previous vlog, the opponent is the same player that has more range than Steph Curry. So pretty much all 5s are possible. Long story short though, not gonna fold. I put in the chips, and he shows Queen 4 offsuit. I take this one down. Next hand, under the gun raises to 20. Cutoff calls. I'm in the big blind with Ace King offsuit and 3-betted to 105. Under the gun folds, the cutoff calls. Heads up to a flop of 9-8-7 rainbow. Not the flop I was looking for, and pretty much relegated to checking here a fair percentage of the time. He checks back though. We go to a turn of a deuce of spades. I check, and now cutoff bets 150. Would like to continue, but just gonna have better hands to battle with. I let it go. This next one is perhaps the hand of the night. There's a post and a limp from 2 early position players. I raised a 30 from the hijack with my favorite hand. 5-6 suited, cutoff calls, and big blind, who's the man with range, 3 bets to 130. The 3 of us in the hand are playing around 1k deep. I call, and the cutoff calls. We go 3 ways to a flop which comes 3-4-7, all spades. I'm in disbelief flopping a straight flush, and some of you say I never sound excited, but hey, I'm just trying to match the narration to the texture of this board, which in this case is monotone. But believe me, I'm doing cartwheels inside. All that said, action checks through. We go to a turn of a 5 of clubs, putting up a one-liner. Big blind checks, and I'm still in disbelief, but I want to get some money in the pot, but also don't want to scare anyone away. I bet 100, just hoping either of the players can continue. Good news is that both players call. We go to a river of an 8 of hearts, and this time big blind leads for 340. I've got 757 effective in my stack. It goes in the middle. Cutoff folds, and big blind pretty quickly calls. I table, and it's a huge cooler as big blind shows Ace King of spades. Take this one down with the straight flush. The straddle is on in this next one. Cutoff raises to 30. I'm in the small blind with 3-4 of spades and perhaps a little bit of winner's tilt creeping in. I call, the straddler calls. 3 ways to a flop of Queen 6-5 rainbow. So a good flop with up and down and running spades. Checks to the initial raiser in the cutoff who bets 50. I call, and the straddler calls. Continuing 3 ways to a turn of a jack of spades. So I pick up the flush draw. This time action checks through, and I get a free look at the river which comes, the Queen of Hearts. Don't get there unfortunately. I check, straddler bets 250 with 500 back. Cutoff tank folds, and I lightly entertain a bluff jam, but just don't got it in me in this spot and just release my hand. Next hand I raise a 20 from under the gun with ace-queen offsuit. A player in middle position 3-bets to 65. He seems to be under the influence of multiple substances given the adult beverage next to him, and the smell of a distinct flower coming off his body. And no, it's not roses. Big blind cold calls, and middle position is playing around 500 total, and he hasn't been particularly tight. I put in the 4-bets at 250, and although ace-queen is not a made hand, it feels especially strong against this opponent. Well, he pretty quickly jams for 538, and given the way he moved all in, I instantly go from feeling good to feeling pretty stupid and awful given his lack of deliberation, which means that he's probably got something real good. Big blind folds, and I don't have the discipline to fold for 300 more. I put in the chips and he tables pocket aces before the run out, which comes clean for him. Winner's tilt in full effect this hand. Trying to shake that last hand off, there's a straddle in this next one. There are 3 callers and it gets to me in the small blind with ace-king suited. I raise the 75, the straddler, and the low jack call. 3-ways to a flop of ace-5-3, 2 suits. Good flop for the ace-king. I c-bet 80, the straddler calls, and the low jack folds. Heads up to a turn of a queen of hearts, so not the best card, and part of me wants to check for pot control, but I continue the aggression for 260. He ends up jamming for 596. Hating it now as he's got very few bluffs aside from king-queen or queen-jack of diamonds, but can't help myself and put in the call. 5th street comes, the queen of spades, which further cements my opponent's hand as he tables ace-queen for the boat. And after some early run good with 5-6 and being up well over 1,000, I run into back-to-back spots involving ace-queen, and now I'm down about 200 after this hand. The straddle is on once again in this next hand. I raise a 35 from the button with queen 10 offsuit. Small blind and the straddler call. 3-ways to a flop of queen 9-9, 2 hearts and a spade. Nice flop hitting top pair, and when he checks to me, I could c-bet primarily targeting straight and flush draws, but I check for pot control. Continuing 3-ways to a turn, which comes a 4 of clubs. Small blind bets 45 this time. Straddler folds, I make the call. Heads up to a river, which comes a 3 of diamonds. Small blind keeps firing, 90 this time, and quite honestly, against this particular opponent, who I perceive as tight, I think I'm beat. But I can't help myself and put in the call, and I get lucky as small blind is bluffing with king-jack offsuit. Hand immediately after, the straddle stays on, and there's a caller. I've got ace-queen of hearts in the cutoff, and raise to 45. Big blind 3-bets to 145. Folds back to me, and although ace-queen hasn't been good to me this session, I hope to turn it around. I put in the call, and the flop comes Jack-Jack 6 rainbow with no hearts. He fires a c-bet, and that makes it 0 for 3 in hands involving ace-queen tonight. Prefer not to see ace-queen again this session. Right off the next shuffle, the straddle is on once again. Low jack raises to 45. I've got ace-king in the hijack, and increase that price to 145. Big blind, the man with range, decides to put in another raise. $400. Low jack folds, and with how this session is swinging, I'm not folding. I jam for around 950. He doesn't snap, so I'm pleased with that, but he does end up calling. I table before the run out, which comes good on the flop, king 7-3. Turn is a 6, and the river is a queen, which looks a bit scary, but big blind ends up tabling pocket jack, so fortunate to win this coin flip. A few more hands to run through, all of which with the straddle on. There's an early position caller, and middle position raises to 50. I pick up the dreaded ace-queen, and just flat from the button. Small blind early position call as well. We go multi-way to a flop of queen 6-5. Good flop, and action checks to me. I fire 80. Small blind folds, early position calls, middle position folds. Heads up to a turn of a 4 of clubs, making the board a bit more draw heavy. He checks, and seeing monsters under the bed with this hand, I exercise pot control and check back. River comes, the 4 of hearts, so that's a good card as it counterfeits some 2-pair holdings. When he checks, I bet 225, and after some deliberation, he puts in the call. I table, and it's good. Next spot, first to act calls the 10. Middle position makes a small raise of 35. Low jack calls, and I call from the straddle with king 5 of diamonds. First to act calls as well. Multi-way to a flop of king 4-3, 2 spades and a heart. Top pair, bad kicker, backdoor straight draw. Checks to the initial raiser in middle position who bets 80. Low jack folds, I call, and under the gun folds. Heads up to a turn of a 10 of clubs. Doesn't change too much, I don't think, but when I check, he keeps firing, 160 this time. And given the presence of a spade draw, he can definitely have some semi-bluffs, so I put in the call. We go to a river of an ace of clubs, so one of the worst cards in the deck, as a hand such as an ace-high spade draw now rivers showdown value. I check, he fires a few hundred, and I just let it go. He was nice enough to show his hand though. Ace-king offsuit. I changed my mind, that was a pretty good river, that saved me some money. Last notable hand, small blind and big blind called to 10. I'm in the straddle with ace-jack offsuit, and increased the price to 40 to see a flop. Both blinds call, and we go to a flop of ace-8-7, all hearts. Checks to me, I c-bet 60, small blind calls, and the big blind folds. Heads up to a turn of a 9 of hearts, so I make hearts with a straight flush redraw. Small blind checks, and I'm not sure what I can target that would call, so I just check. River comes, the 9 of spades pairing the board. He checks, and same situation as the turn. Not sure a value bet will get called by worse unless he's got exactly the 10 of hearts. I check and just roll my hand over before he tables, and my hand is good. Alright, just closing out a session here. My friend Rich is still playing inside, so shooting the outro from the main entrance. And as you saw, just a really crazy session. A couple spots I definitely want to have back as always. The ace-queen ones definitely didn't treat me too well tonight except for one of them. And ultimately got in the game for $1,100, navigated a very up and down ride and cashed out exactly $2,150. So booked a profit of $1,050, very happy with that. And I'm gonna give credit to the Lock It Up hoodie that I'm wearing because I just didn't play that well and just got lucky in some very key spots. Namely the 5-6 of spades and then winning the coin flip with ace-king. And just gonna wrap this video up with a shout out to a few people that I interacted with tonight. Peter, Nader, and Dean. And last but not least, Chris. He was the guy that I mentioned in the previous vlog. He's got unlimited range, good for the game, great action, absolutely fearless. And unfortunately for him, he did run into it against me a couple times tonight, but he took the beats in stride, and anyone who can handle tough beats with class like he did absolutely gets respect in my book. So shout out to him for that. And that's gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you all for the continued support, and I'll see you guys on the next one.